Hello, I'm Dr. Ange Mack. Welcome to Operation Freedom 2, a fun and friendly program focused on our veterans' quality of life. Today we have a very special guest with us, someone I've known for many years, since I believe 1995, Miss Lenora German, who comes to us from the Pentagon parking lot right now to do this interview for us and with us today. Lenora, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just I'm thrilled to be able to talk with you about your foundation and your book. But I was going to give a little background on how we know one another, just so our audience is a little informed. But what, Lenore, we've known each other since like 1995, I believe. We were going through Officers Candidate School at Fort Bragg Infantry Program. At that time, we spent a lovely, glorious at least 14 months going through the program. One of four females, all four started, all four finished. So,
Yes.
We have a huge background. And I'd like to say with our class overall, many of us are still, fairly close, and we correspond even, outside of Facebook. And you've been through a lot over the past few years, I know. And I want to say, kind of what I feel, what happens to one of us kind of happens to all of us, and anything that I can do to help you and your foundation, grow and serve its mission, I'm here to help you do that, with this program and in any other ways possible. So thank you for being here. And yeah, let's just get started from the beginning, unless you want to add any OCS stories in along the way, but too many.
There's a lot, and I think enough trauma has occurred. I don't want to bring up and traumatize our audience with our things that have taken place during OCS.
Yeah, there's a lot of craziness during those months for sure. But
Yes.
Tell me a little bit. Let's just kind of roll right in. I know we only have about 20 minutes with this, but tell me a little bit about the foundation you created. And I want to make sure I get this right. It's the Hope4Ray Scholarship Foundation. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. Yes.
So tell us a little bit about the mission and why you started this.
Well, first of all, thank you again. Thank you to your audience for tuning in and listening to us today. So before I get started, I just want to say, kind of give you my life's theme. And I think you'll see why I'm giving my theme up front. And it's really short. For me, nothing is by coincidence. Everything in life has a reason, a connection, or a season. And as I share my story with you today, you'll begin to see why I've chosen that as a theme for my life. A little bit of history about the organization and why we started. At the age of 16, my daughter, Raven Hutchinson, committed suicide. Because of her death by suicide, I wanted to ensure other military families did not go through what I did when trying to seek mental health care for my daughter. Long wait times and access to quality mental health care were significant areas of concern I faced when seeking care for my daughter. After Raven's loss, I had a choice. I had a choice of either allowing this horrible situation to destroy me or refine me. It was not an easy process, but with the assistance of my loving family, my military friends and family, and lots of counseling, I found my way again. What helped was the establishment of the Hope4Ray Scholarship Foundation. My daughters, Brianna and Shay, which are Raven's older sisters, they wanted to honor Raven's significance through the foundation in the hopes that the foundation would do a couple of things. First, increase mental health awareness, decrease wait times to receive mental health care, increase women professionals in the mental health profession, and also ensure that our soldiers' daughters are trendsetters in decreasing the challenges around mental health. So on January 30th, 2017, the Hope4Ray Scholarship Foundation was organized as a nonprofit corporation in the state of Maryland. And in that same year, Angela, the IRS also recognized the foundation as an official 501c3 nonprofit, which allows all donations to the foundation to be tax deductible. Our vision is to end death by suicide, educating one mind at a time. Our mission is that the foundation does provide scholarships to daughters of military families pursuing a degree in mental health. To date, in 2019, we were able to donate over $1,500 in scholarships to a young woman attending Alcorn State University. And we hope to do the same to another deserving young woman in 2020. So I wanted to just talk about a little bit of the history and what makes a young woman eligible to apply for our scholarship.
Okay,
We're asking that. Mhm. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to back up a little bit for our viewers. You gave a whole lot of really, personal information around, why you started this and, why it's important and what your goals are. Let me just ask you this. What was it? What was there a turning point when, after the death of Raven and as you were going through the process, what turning point did you come across where you said, okay, this is going to refine me. This is not going to destroy me. This is going to make me better. And somehow you're going to be able to help more daughters of military families. Can you tell me a little bit about that turning point that you had with that?
Absolutely. Like I mentioned earlier, I had a choice. I could allow this horrible situation to continue to allow me to cycle down the spiral of depression and self-blame and self-doubt. I'm sure many mothers can resonate, anything that happens to their child, there's this first person that you seem to blame, and it's yourself. So I had to I had to untangle and unpackage a lot of the trauma that came as a result of my daughter's death. I had to deal internally with myself and begin to the healing process. And it took a lot of time. But I will say I was not alone in the process and throughout my journey. I didn't know at first how to reach out for help. Sometimes soldiers, we tend to hold a lot of things in, and we tend to believe that, as a leader, you're supposed to be able to handle things on your own and get through things by yourself. But I also know that through a lot of the training that the military has offered throughout the years, I learned that that's not true. This battle is not mine to bear alone, and that I knew I couldn't do it by myself. So I reached out to counselors that helped me, unpackage what I was going through and helped me to feel confident enough to reach out for help. And then along the way, there were folks in my unit. I remember I was a battalion commander at the time, and I had some really tremendous, dynamic soldiers who just knew to just be there and to hold a space for me that gave me the strength that I needed to ask for help. So I think that's really what helped me was to having that strong support system around. And you don't realize you have a support system. You think, well, I really don't have anyone that understands what I'm going through. People don't necessarily have to go through what you've been through in order to help you. Sometimes just asking for help and to extend that olive branch of, hey, this is what I need, and just watch how people begin to show up for you. And I had to trust that. And that was tough for me.
Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, the whole part about, the Army raises us and trains us to, be that strong soldier and to be there, be the officer, be the lead, and the support system. They don't really train us on how to, ask for help and ask for support, which is kind of interesting because we all need that. And you're putting forth an extraordinary message to parents who have, lost a child, and that is, make sure you do reach out, make sure you
Yes.
talk to family and friends, and then even like within your your career Army unit, those soldiers knew how to hold that space for you, and you probably didn't even realize at the time that they were going to be able to do that and be that for you, which I think is extraordinary. I think we know that, like, as an Army unit, yes, we're together, we bond together, leave no soldier behind, but to experience it from the other side, I'm sure wasn't it just an extraordinary, feeling that you had and situation that you went through. So I think that's a key message, with this interview today, is to make sure you reach out for help. Don't
Yes.
try to do it all on your own. So you went forward, you developed this wonderful foundation in 2017. lots of support from your family and your board and everyone. You've already given out some money to some, I'm sure, very deserving young ladies, young daughters of of military families, and that's kind of your goal going forward, is to continue this, to build the foundation, to receive ongoing donations. And I think you were going to talk a little bit about your goals and what you hope to do with regards to getting more funds in, and we're going to talk about how people can contact you and your foundation at the end of this program.
Yeah.
So go ahead with what you were going to say previously.
Oh, yes. And thank you. Thank you for slowing me down. Sometimes we can go a mile a minute and not realize how much we've just provided, and we sometimes need to slow down and unpackage things. So thank you for doing that. But again, I just wanted to share, again, my theme of there's nothing is by coincidence. I'd like to provide scholarships to any female high school senior. All I ask is that your parents serve currently or have served honorably in the past in the Army Reserve or the National Guard. I chose the Army Reserve and National Guard because I've served over 6 years in the National Guard, and now over 30 plus years in the Reserve and Army. So I really want to, my affinity will be to those group members. Again, I said mental health. Mental health is very broad. If you're pursuing a degree in behavioral health, it could be psychology, counseling, clinical therapy, behavioral health, or special education. I am really looking for those type of young women who are interested in being a part of the mental health professional community. So again, my website, I'm sorry, Angela.
Yeah, no, I'm slowing you down a little bit, but
Yes.
so high school seniors that kind of already have a feel for what program they're going to go into, potentially have already been accepted, into a university or a college program, can apply for this. Why, and people can assume why you have selected, the daughters of, former military, specifically Army Reserve, Army National Guard, military families. Why do you think it's important for the daughters of these families to go forward and get some additional training in mental health, sociology, psychology? What are you hoping to gain from focusing on this group of young women that are coming up, and specifically those in the military?
Thank you for asking me that. When I lost my daughter, and I really started to look further into establishing something, and at the time I didn't know what that something was, I started to do a lot of reading about, are there other military families who have gone through the same challenges that I have? And, through my reading, I realized something pretty phenomenal. As you already know, less than 1% of our American population even serve in the military. There's a lot of publicity around and a lot of support for our soldiers, but there really isn't a lot of attention being directed to our military families. A lot of the research has also been showing that the middle age, the teenage, the tween years, our military children, they suffer the highest rate of suicide ideation and depression. And although there's, a lot of folks that may not be familiar with the military, they may say, well, there's military bases and there's lots of military care and outreach. But a lot of times our military soldiers are not stationed at an actual military base. For example, I was stationed in New York, and my base was at Fort Totten, New York, and there weren't any military facilities there that were close by. So we had to go to civilian establishments for my children's health care. And that's when I really began to realize that there was a disparity with soldiers that are not necessarily stationed on a base, and their access to quality health care.
Yeah, you're exactly right. That's something that's, I think, very overlooked with regards to comparing our Army Guard and Army Reserve, as you are not necessarily attached and within the confines of a wonderful system like the fort or the base that you're working for. And it's a huge difference because you don't have that support going forward.
Yes.
Now, I know we're kind of rolling into our 5-minute point, and we're going to get all your contact information. But really quick, mention the book you've recently authored, and we're going to talk about how people can get a hold of that as well.
Oh, right. So I guess, yeah, well, first, the title of my book is called Battleborn Ben. Again, the emphasis is on the military family and the challenges they sometimes face, when a parent or both parents might be deployed. In my book, I share how a young middle school boy named Ben is faced with a new school because his mom, who happens to be a nurse in the military, has been has a permanent change of station where she has to move to a new location. So he has to start a new school. And, more challenging, he has to start a new middle school. I also share with you in the book about Ben having to deal with his mother's upcoming deployment and his fears of her possibly being injured or even worse. All of these emotional challenges for Ben actually triggers memories from his father, from his late father, because he also lost his life during a military accident. And when I was writing this, I was like, oh my God, this young man has experienced so much trauma. But in actuality, our military children and our military families deal with a lot of loss, whether it be the loss or the absence of a father or a mother because of deployment or through the loss of a death, untimely death. So there's a lot of loss and a lot of mental challenges that our children have to go through. They sometimes are forced to pack up, and leave their friends, their community, things that most children who aren't affiliated with the military family, they never have to experience that.
They don't know because they've never had to experience it. And it's great that you produced this book as well from that perspective. There's so much, and I can tell you're so very passionate about this book and what you're doing. Very, very happy to be able to help you get this story out there. And for people that want to know how to apply for a scholarship, please give us that information. And also, if there are people out there that want to donate to this scholarship fund, please let us know. And in the end, after this interview, I'll make sure this information is not only on the YouTube, but also in my blog spot too, so people can go back and find out how to do this. So, but briefly, just your website or how to contact and get this information.
Yes, ma'am, and thank you. So the foundation's website is Hope4Ray and also for the book, 50% of the proceeds will be donated to the foundation. And you can find my book on Amazon, and you can go to battlebornben.com and purchase the book. And thank you.
Yes, no, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I love what you're doing. I love what you've done with your life and this passion going forward. Any way we can help, we will. I'm sure OC37 will have a hand in this, our officers candidate class. And again, thank you for being with me. And until next time, for the viewers out there, please find our information on drangemack.blogspot and YouTube channel Dr. Ange Mack for this video, as well as the Comcast that will produce it going forward. Thank you for joining Operation Freedom 2. And until next time, enjoy your freedom to support others in need.